Hello everyone, this is Zafar Abanwala and you're watching Abundance Show. Welcome to Abundance Show. Joining us today is a guest whose very name suggests strength and spirit of exploration. Tarzan Sheriff is a versatile entrepreneur and a business strategist with a deep-rooted passion for innovation and professional growth. With a background that spans across technology and strategic business development, Tarzan has consistently demonstrated what it means to lead with a vision. He is known for his ability to connect ideas with execution, helping organizations and individuals find their unique competitive edge. Today, we are going to dive into his journey of building sustainable success and how he balances the drive for professional excellence with pursuit of fulfilling abundant life. Tarzan, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Howdy. No, it's great to be here. It's a gracious introduction. I'm impressed that you were able to find out anything about me. I try to keep myself pretty low profile because I'm so focused on a bunch of things. It's kind of hard to come up for air sometimes. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much. But Tarzan, before I ask questions on entrepreneurial sparks or sustainability or your innovation, or I want to request you to walk us through your life journey.
Sure. Um, so I'm here in Texas, and I've met a vast group of people across my walk on Earth, just being in Texas. And my my family is all over, mostly in the Middle East, and we're I'm half Lebanese and I'm half Scottish American. You know, I'm somebody here in Austin, and I'm doing my thing in the technology community, and I just have a very unique international technology lens, and that's given me a very high level sort of macro of us, human civilization, and it's just for me it's just how do we get things done on the ground, and how do we move forward into the future. And what's sort of guiding all of this is this model called the Kardashev scale for civilization. So I like to talk about that on these podcasts because it allows us to sort of stretch our mind further than just the mundane, existence that we have currently. But yeah, that's sort of a general, I'm just another human being on Earth, right? We're all doing our thing. But I'm here in Austin, Texas, and I'm also in San Luis Obispo, California. I go between both California and Texas, and it's for business. And I look at the world as just one single place. It's not every state, every jurisdiction, every location around the world. It's the same place. It's Earth.
Wow, that's cool. Can you get us the as you said? You say that I am just another person. I believe there are 8 billion perspectives, and they are all unique and different. You're also one. You're unique, and so I want to just learn your perspective on what you do.
Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated, but I'll make it really simple. I'm focused on the next 5 to 10 years of AI and robotics as it intersects construction. That's the first way of describing what I'm involved in. The second is that I have other projects that span from the medical field, uh, and it kind of circles around little smaller ventures in the CPG market, like consumer packaged goods and restaurants and things. coffee shops and stuff that I'm involved in with another friend of mine in California. But here locally in Austin, I'm focused on construction and AI and the advancements of those two fields as they converge into something called the perception layer. And that's the bridge from how these dumb robots that we're talking about in the media, how they actually can do real world applications like building your home, in an insurable method. Because what a lot of people aren't talking about is that a lot of this labor that's about to hit the market isn't going to be insurable. A computer is not liable for loss of life or property. So you can't expect a robot to have an hallucination and then all of a sudden Geico or State Farm is like, okay, we'll pay for it. It's not how the world works. So a lot of our high-level technologists around the world are getting just tons of capital it's been that way for over 20 years now. There's a really well-known fund that I'd like to work with eventually called SoftBank. And they've invested for the last 20 years into some amazing robotics companies. But these robotics companies are limited. And they're limited by many factors, one of which, of course, is knowing how to kinetically manipulate the real world without hallucination. And once you cross that bridge, now you get into something called insurance. Like, did your robot hurt somebody, kill somebody, right? And or destroy something accidentally. And so there's not a legal framework, and nor is there an interest to make one. And insurance companies are the bedrock of our financial institution. So all banks, big banks, put their money into life insurance policies. Okay, so there's a big thing that people aren't talking about in tech, and I'm focused on building some of these big things into tech, so that way we don't have to get into an eventuality of just I wouldn't call it taking 2 steps back, but it's an eventuality eventually that could make us take 2 steps back if we don't have guys like me that actually figure this thing out right now. So in Austin, I have a very successful trades company, and my partners and I do very well building real estate, selling real estate. I'm day to day looking at the next way for us to advance, and I've got it. I'm building it. It's technology, and it's going to allow every tradesperson on earth to benefit. The blue collar is what I'm like intimately involved with. Service workers, unskilled and skilled labor. Doesn't matter what jurisdiction you're in. You can be in Pakistan, you can be in Mexico. Doesn't matter. What matters is, can you do something with your hands? And can you work on projects wherever they are at with either your hands or, this is coming, teleoperated functionality with robotics, with autonomous construction machines, where you don't have to be there locally. You can be there digitally around the world, and so or in space. So as long as there's a piece of technology that extends your mind to do labor, I'm in that. That's where I'm at. And everything else I'm involved in is just fun stuff, because I'm a very creative person. I've grown up as an artist. I was classically trained throughout Europe. I mean, I've smashed every competition you can think of when it comes to art. What I figured out real quick, though, very young, is that it's just artifact making. It's my experience extruded through different media. Call it metal sculpture, call it paint, call it dry media, whatever. Art is human experience, and it doesn't have to be on the wall. It can be something completely different. But art is human experience. It's just fundamentally a human activity. And so taking that information and putting it into commerce, I now build art with brands and businesses to solve problems. So, and by no means am I organized right now with this trip. I'm just blurting out things as I think through things as I talk with you. So, I'm not in a I'm not saying things in a clear format probably for some people, but just to kind of step back again, I I I, I love to focus on how do we fix problems on Earth, and how do we make those problems uh, public solutions for everyone to benefit from. And that's why commerce is so incredible. That's why the system of trade has been and always will be this way that our species finds a way to work together. Okay. Um, I mean, we can go into a whole thing about that, but at the root of the human species, there is our way of trading either goods or services to like just get along. Okay. So my philosophy right now, and I haven't been able to change it. I really would love to be able to enhance my philosophy on the human existence and human experience video game that we're involved in. But right now, where I'm at is our little video game that we're living in is called the Domestication game. I really think that our human existence and our species is a domesticated one. We are living a life on a home called Earth, and we organize our life around domestication related functions. You know, getting resources, trading resources, rinse, repeat. That's it. And that's the way civilization has been for all of recorded time. And, you know, we can talk about how we got here, but we're here. We don't know how we got here. We can speculate. We can definitely point out our religious scripture and have all the faith in our hearts to think that there's, you know, some science there, but really it's just faith that we're here, and we're here for a reason. And so that's rooted in, of course, the human experience, but it's also rooted in something called the quantum. Okay, because it's photons know that they're being observed. It's incredible. Okay. So anyway, that's where I'm at in my mind, is that we're a domesticated species. We don't know how we got here, but we're here. We have these things called thumbs and minds, and we use these thumbs and minds to stretch ourselves in different ways to better ourselves. And for better or for worse, sometimes that gets us into trouble. And of course, you know, we have to all publicly watch the trouble together and like, oh no. And sometimes that does look like war. And sometimes that's just, you know, that is just a piece of the equation in the video game of domestication that we're living in. Okay. So the real goal for me right now as a 39-year-old entrepreneur is to just stay laser focused on taking our domesticated species to the next level through AI, robotics, the perception layer, and beyond. And that's where I'm at today, because I basically have different companies that achieves that goal in their own different, you know, unique way. I'm not Elon Musk yet, but love to work with guys like him because he gets it. People like him get it. We're on Earth. There's a civilization scale called Kardashev. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. I suggest everyone looks it up. Kardashev scales is a really great way to, I don't call it a vision for civilization. I call it a mission. It's really like, how do we get off this rock in a way that allows us to ad astra, grow the stars. So right now we're fighting at level 1 for resources. This domestication video game, we're still at level 1. Okay. And this domestication video game gets really great at level 2, where you get involved in something called the Kardashev scale number 2 of Dyson swarms and Dyson spheres, where we actually harvest energy from our star and go off into the galaxy and rinse and repeat that process and terraform planets and do that, you know, in such a way where our human bodies are here locally on Earth, but our machines are doing that for us. So like we'll have agents probably really soon that are capable of doing that, and that's exciting stuff. But is it going to be in our lifetime? The way things are going, probably not. That's just the facts. But that's what motivates me, is that the human condition, this video game that we're experiencing, um, this abundance that we have with our technology, our thumbs and our minds, and the quantum field and photons and all these cool things that people, if you put together the dots, they start to come together where it's like, if you can observe yourself as a video game player, you can actually conquer things, and not in a warlike manner, but like in a, getting to the next level manner. And that's where I'm at right now, is just staying laser focused on taking the abundance that we have with these new tools and these new things that humans collectively are making, and assembling them in a meaningful way to where, from an engineering and art standpoint, we can create this wondrous thing called advancement. Because right now we're just not advancing. We are still on this rock, fighting over prehistoric goo that creatures long dead. It's like, I mean, I'm not the only one, I hope, that's like just looking at this paradoxical comedy show that we're living, and it's just like a big joke. It's like, we have technology that allows us to do things, but we have governance processes, lobbyists, corporate greed, and all these things in the way of it. So it's like, all right, you guys want to be greedy? All right, you guys want to have all these different things that have to be checked and balanced, and these laws and regulations, so we don't all just like suffer from bad decisions? Okay, easy. Let me play, right? And that's the curiosity that I have, is let's play, right? Let's have some fun. Because I described this in another podcast. It's like, you got to be happy, right? You got to be happy, because if you're not happy, the observer, that's really who you, like, you're not your body. You're the observation of your body. You're the observation of your thoughts. Yeah, you're the observation of your thoughts, feelings, everything. And so what you are is, you're looking through eyeballs that are physical representations of the energetic field that is you. And so, he can go real metaphysical into this, but we are a quantum. We're inside of a piezoelectric body that powers itself through fascia with biomechanical processes and procedures. That's like, our bodies are machines, but the field that we're in, this quantum thing that we're in, that's how we are connected. And if you can understand how the photons observe all of our actions collectively in that field, you can navigate your machine for output. And so it took me a while to figure this out, but a lot of people don't ever enlighten themselves to think this way. They're stuck. They're so stuck. And mental illness is a real thing. Mental illness, shadow games, conspiracy theories, it's all over the place. But there is some truth to it. Like, we are doing things to ourselves that aren't allowing us to be the abundant species that we can be. And there's a group of people like myself, and of course like yourself, that are like, you know what, let's play, let's be abundant, right? There's one of the biggest guys in the abundance field is Peter Diamandis, and he's incredible. Can't wait to work with him someday. I bought him tacos and beer when he came to Austin once. That was fun. But yeah, there's a lot of great people out there that are thinking like us. We have our part. We have our lane. We have to maximize our productivity in our lane so we can collectively get somewhere. And I think the Kardashev scale is a way to kind of package it up. Like, that's the game. Level 1, level 2, level 3, and of course level 7 is something so incredible that and there's probably more levels, but just getting humans to level 2 is like my mission right now. I don't consider it a vision again. I consider it like a mission. Like that's achievable. We can take resources and create technologies that harnesses our star in such a way where it gives us access to energy that will propel us forward. And it's not just the solar system. It's just like to get to that point, that also means our civilization is corrected to such a higher level, which means we're able to coexist finally without our belief systems clashing, right? And at the root of our clash, it's a lot of it has to do with reproductive practices and beliefs and political and non-political cultural differences. Like it's just a whole mess of things. But again, simple. We are a domesticated species. We live on Earth. Our video game is ours to play, and we're all underperforming when we could be really doing some amazing things. And what I like about sci-fi movies is that that's actually not sci-fi. If our minds can actually say, hey, that technology can be implemented, there's some truth to it, because where did that imagination come from for that sci-fi? Quantum field. So if the quantum field exists, that means evidently, it's self-evident. If the quantum field exists and there's photons that can be observed, and there's sci-fi and there's ideas and minds and thumbs working, you know, there's some truth that this universe is alive. It's inherently moral, self-organizing, and we're a self-actualization byproduct of star systems and comets and asteroids and crazy phenomenon. And now we're on this planet collecting those things, trying to put them through our filters to communicate those things. And then that's how we get scientists, right? That's how we get engineers, because we're like, oh, these things are possible. Let's do it. And I'm just the artist over here in Austin. I'm just like, hey, let's do it. You know, what's stopping us? Well, it's called 8 hours, right? It's called time. You know, it doesn't really exist, but our bodies function off of circadian rhythms, right? So there's a thing called gotta go to sleep, but then there's a thing called AI agent now, doesn't sleep. So look, you know, I can wrap up real cleanly again with my little soapbox here, but if I were in a position to make decisions about the future of the human race, I would say we got to do a better job of getting organized, because that's key. If we can get ourselves organized better, we can actually collectively execute. Like that's just it's just the only way. Like we're all misfiring. Like when you have a bunch of circuits misfiring on a board, the computer doesn't work, right? How does the computer work? How does the iPhone work? How does the car work? It's orchestration. It's technical orchestration. So what is technical orchestration? That's problem solving. That's how you get to A to B. So there's two types of problems. Like I was saying, problems are really like fundamentally like part of my like curiosity. You know, there's technical problems and adaptive problems. Every adaptive problem can be solved technically. It's called steps, right? So you gotta take these big problems we're dealing with, and you gotta cut them down into steps. That's how AI is starting to really approach how it's doing things with MCP functions. So anyway, I could go on and on about this, but if we're gonna do anything on Earth meaningfully, it's just a whole lot of organized people organizing themselves in parallel, and having one goal to execute on together. That's why I like what Elon is really doing. There's a reason why his stock is going to be worth $3 trillion. I think we're undervaluing what he's about to turn on. Okay. He is like a video game in real life. Okay. I don't know if you've ever played those video games where you have to like cultivate your land and then like, you know, create your kingdom and then like fortify it. It's like a sim video game. That's what he's doing. All right. But it's not just him. Like behind every great leader, whether you agree with them or not, there's an amazing legion of people supporting the efforts. And that's why again, like, the only way to do anything is to get organized. So the quantum field actually supports that thesis. You get organized, people come and they work with you because they share the same interest that you do. I think we need to have collectively, we have to have a larger shared interest on just adopting our technologies and not fearing them, because sitting around all day, doom and gloom, Skynet, Terminator movies, like sci-fi movies about, our mutual collapse or mutual destruction. It's fun to watch because it's like, whoa, it's some kind of a twisted, dystopia, human, like fear that we have about robots, whatever. But robots don't care about humans. They only care about compute and energy. They're not going to care about the bacteria on Earth when they're sentient enough to move around by themselves. There's just no point. It's like goldfish, like we're literally like goldfish, just in a pond to them, in terms of everything they can do. So, we got to get organized. We got to do some great things together. And the only way to really kind of point us is to actually point ourselves in the direction of commerce. And that's where guys like Elon and like, amazing entrepreneurs supersede, things that politicians do. Okay. Like, a lot of people charge politicians with all this power, and they're just a mind, in control of the buttons. Okay. So it's just, we gotta get together and say, hey, if people out there are building great companies, that's the game. Then let's play that game. Let's not, if we're not going to build great companies and we're just going to have really mundane things that we spend our time on, that's fine too. Like, no one has to be, a world builder. Okay. If that's not your operating system, that's okay. But we should still, like, be aware that this little game we're playing together could be so much better. So much better. We could literally be living Star Wars right now. Like, we could literally have these sci-fi movies as real movies. We could literally have, like, we could literally take our biology and upgrade it. Not like cyborgs or androids, but like, we could literally take our biology, turn back the clock. And we're doing that. I have friends that are doing that, with telomere therapy and, reversing aging by 30 or 60% thresholds. Pretty incredible stuff. I'm also involved in that with a Wharton's Jelly company out of Florida. It's just, I'm here in Austin with a bunch of things going on, but they're all fundamentally focused on how do we get to the next step with humanity. And yeah, right. It's truly an abundant time to live right now. I mean, if I was on Earth 100 years ago, I probably wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing now. But there's a way of thinking about this, that access to such great tools speeds up self-organization in the universe, right? So if I would take myself or you, right, or anybody in your community, if you're to go 1,000 years into the future, just as the same human being, but you'd have more access to incredible tools and technologies, you would upgrade yourself in so many ways, because it's like, that's the new normal, right? The normal back 1,000 years ago wasn't the normal today. The normal today is almost like, well, I don't know how to define it correctly, but our normal today is it's a big transformational event that hasn't ever happened in all of human history. So, okay. So yeah, I could go all over the place with this, but I just want to, I really want to help that abundance narrative that you're about. Because if we talk about the real evil that's going on in the world, it's the same story 1,000 years ago. Like, evil is boring. It's so boring. It's the same thing. What someone is putting on the news today is the same thing they were putting on the news 5 years ago, just a different way of spinning it. But abundance, you know, that's not boring. That's like every week in AI, something is happening, and it hurts my mind because it's just like, wow, it's too fast. So that's why like abundance is like way more interesting to pay attention to. But unfortunately, our brains instinctively seek out scarcity and fear for survival. Our brains are mechanically and biologically formed in such a way to keep us alive. So we seek out danger and we fight or flight. That's just what it is to be a human being. People that have problems with their brain usually want to go into self-destructive behaviors without some outcome in mind. They just want to kamikaze for whatever reason. And there's plenty of people you can point at that are just on that self-destructive, tear. But for the most part, folks that care about their video game, their existence, are going to be focused on how do we be more abundant? How do we benefit others? How do we help others? How do we send the elevator down to help somebody else come up because it's my time to go, right? Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris died today. That guy was an inspiration for everyone. His memes, so funny, right? He's gone now, okay? And what he did for us from an entertainment standpoint, from a philosophy standpoint, touching. Like, he is going to be missed. So, it's just, we have the blessing of life every day. The gift of life is ours every day. And you only get that because you made some sort of you're to be here is a whole different conversation. I can go into a whole tear about that because statistically it's an anomaly to even be here on this podcast with you. It's just, and a guy like Tarzan to be even spewing his mind onto the interwebs of other people's ears. Like, it's just amazing. But yeah, we're blessed to be alive right now. And it's just important for us to take that consciousness that we have in this universe and protect it. That's everyone's job. Literally, is our entire way of life depends on us protecting our consciousness, our being a steward of our consciousness. So the next critical activity for that is our earth, our coexistence, our resources. So it's like, for consciousness to thrive in the universe, we've got to be a whole lot more better at organizing ourselves. And it can't be one company's job to do that. I think we all have to, there was this guy in China that said it best on some kind of a video. He was like, America needs to wake up, needs to have a revolution, right? And it's not just America. I think it's the whole human existence. We need to wake up in a meaningful way. And maybe that's going to happen when AI can truly take on the drudgery of going to work and getting a job and making money and rinse and repeating that process and paying your bills and then looking at your wallet and feeling, small, right? Because once that goes away, and it's not about universal income and all these things that people are talking about because they have billions of dollars because that gives them privilege to talk about. It's not about that. I'm sorry, if you have $1 billion and you're spewing off how great it is to have technologies that are just going to allow people to just make infinite money just by existing, you're a plutocracy. You're so far removed from humanity. Humanity doesn't need to hear that. Humanity needs to hear about how can we be useful. It's not about how can we make infinite money. That's not the goal. The goal is how can we collectively find out how to be useful individually and collectively to go out there and solve the biggest problem of our existence. And that's how we become better stewards of our consciousness and potentially multi-planetary, right? So, yeah, I mean, all of our philosophies, schools of philosophies, all of our religions, all of our ways of being and doing and achieving, it all stems in this thing called being alive, right? So to be alive is to be abundant, right? And to achieve something means you've actually lived, right? And achievement doesn't mean success. You can be a great mother, you can be a great father, be a great fireman, be a great plumber, be a great artist, right? It doesn't matter. As long as you're useful at something. The worst you can do is do something wrong in your life, get locked up, be incarcerated for the rest of your years because the system doesn't have a way to help you get back into the system that we need you back in to help us, right? So I have a whole like debate about evil too. Like a lot of people fundamentally aren't evil, right? They're fundamentally abundant, good, but somewhere, somehow, something got in the way of them becoming the best light, right? Um, okay, well, look, you know, this is the kind of thing that's in my head right now. Is what are we doing in our video game? Why are we not winning? Why are we winning slowly? Why are we winning in such at such a pace where we can't actually live our dream? Like Shia LaBeouf, right? He's like, do it. He's this famous actor, right? And he had a meme that always hits me. It's just like, do it. And it's just the power of now, right? We got to do it now. And then, of course, you know, not have an excuse without a deadline control you, right? But and I have so many deadlines, and I'm just, you know, taking some time right now to, you know, hopefully leave a little bookmark of thoughts that I have up to this point in my life with you. So thank you for allowing me to be on this with you.
My goodness, such an amazing personality you are. You're so fond of abundance and you find it so positive, and so you're so sick and tired of negativities, the evil side of the game. But you are into the real game, and to you, life is a game, and you want to play it faster. And since you talk about Elon and Peter Diamandis, and this abundance show is being I'm inspired so by Peter Diamandis. He kicks his summit every year, abundance
Yeah.
summit. Yeah. So have you been how close have you been to Peter Diamandis?
I got lucky with a friend of mine that introduced me to one of his college buddies, and he's he's he was uh, he was nice enough to let me meet Peter in a sort of weird situation. Peter didn't know who I was. He thought I was just some guy like following me around at South by. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take these guys out, you know, and because his whole SpaceX team, and I was like, I'm just gonna hang out with them for a quick bite. And so, you know, that was it. That was years ago. I have Peter's card. I'll have to interact with him on a business level. It's just like I've got so many things going on and so many stuff that's been sort of real quiet, and so I don't want to. Back then, it was a bunch of ideas. Now it's like millions of dollars of revenue being generated, and it's just like now is the time to probably come up for air and say, hey, you know, it's time to be with your abundance committee. You know, time to get to work with you finally. It's been over a decade. But no, I just have like I have so many people in my network that I haven't reached out to because it's just you know, being 39 and starting everything when I was 24, right? There's a lot of time there. There's a lot of time there that was required to build and to, because you know when you're young, you're not ready to do much. It's just the truth. Too much power when you're young. And look at the patterns out there, right? So you know, uh, God, because I am a believer, and he's not he's not helping me be fast. He's helping me be correct. And so now is the time to actually be more public and start to get to work with bringing to light the great things that I have and to put those into the market and to allow those things to grow. But yeah, you know, Tony Robbins, Peter, like Peter's been able to do his thing, and everybody that believes the same things that you and I believe, well, guess what? We're organized. We know each other, or we know of each other, and that's super super important, right? Like I was saying, if you're not organized, it's just a bunch of misfiring, right? So the abundance community is very organized. people know of each other and know when and where and how to interact when it's the right time or not, right? But for me, yeah, like I just think that the abundance community is another example of, we need to have that kind of orchestration organization and across many different disciplines. It's not cool that that only us cool science, technology people and art people know of each other. I think a lot of people should have more interest in this kind of stuff. I don't like the collective unconscious is just too large. The collective conscious is what we're talking about, like this abundant stuff, right? Uh, and yeah, so for me, it's just I'm a doer. I create, right? My goal is not to be talking because I could talk. You could obviously have a lot of things going on, but I like to do, right? I like to say, you know what? That's a cool movie of 2,000 years in the future. That could possibly be 200 years in the future if we do X, Y, and Z, and force multiply outcomes a certain way. So that's who I am. I like to see something and do it. So I haven't been able to work with a lot of people because I'm just head down doing things. Okay. I hope I can get to some clear answers for you. I just have a very roundabout way of answering because again, I'm not used to being on podcasts or talking about me because I don't consider myself interesting. First of all, I just consider myself as someone that's just trying to figure it out like you are. We're just the same thing, just different geography.
To me, you're a quite interesting one, and I leave it to the audience to decide interesting or not. But you're relevant, 110%. What you are talking about right now, these are the all core points that are already being taken under this abundant summit. If I do follow Peter very closely, just because I take him my mentor, though I couldn't see him as we speak, but you be lucky to get around someone who's one of his friends or class fellows or.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky to and blessed to have given myself the ability to network because a lot of people don't give themselves that opportunity to get out there, put yourself out there, whatever your name is. Your name is just sound waves and pops and clicks. It doesn't mean anything. And so a lot of people get scared about themselves. And again, like, what is a name? A name is just like a brand. It's a collection of ideas. Okay. It's just experiences and ideas around something, right? So what you are and what everybody needs to get to, like, this is how you actually relate to human beings one to one. We're all the same thing. We're made of stardust. We're made of things that we can't even explain, but we're here. What's in your head and my head may be different from a wiring standpoint, but we still have the same amount of time on Earth because we all live 24-hour, you know, celestial, clocks. Our circadian rhythms dictate that. Okay. So getting in front of someone and saying, hey, I like what you're doing. I'm going to put everything I got into what you're doing. And that's who I am. I get behind something 100,000%. I may not do it immediately. I may cut it up over a period of time, but I'm there. I'm ready to roll. And guys like Peter, yeah, guys that are around him, like Tony Robbins and Mosey, and these big podcast guys, and these big guys are talking and creating communities. I love it. I love it. We need more of it. We need more people to rise up, to like. We need, honestly, too. I don't mean to go into it, but I kind of have to say it. Men need to be men right now, more than ever. We've got to get up. There's no such thing as a man that's lying on the ground defenseless and soft and weak. That's not good. To have generations of men, young men, that only exist on their phone is like, there's just that's just a complete failure somewhere to allow that to happen. So, and that's a challenge. I have men around me all over the place. They have big problems. They have divorces. They have problems that I can't even articulate. It's not my business to even tell anyone about what they're going through in confidence. But, you know, in our private lives, we've got to look in the mirror and know that we're here. And it's not important to look at yesterday. It's only important to look at today and act now and do something. And, you know, being a voice of reason on the internet is great. But what are you doing? What are you really doing privately? Because that's called integrity. Integrity is something that happens when no one's watching, right? And a lot of problems on Earth, again, I like problems, I like fixing them. So I like researching problems. I like getting into the dirt because I have a construction company, right? So a lot of problems come from men being weak. And that creates crazy times, right? Tony Robbins talks about this all the time with his memes. It's like weak times, right? Good times, strong men, right? It's like, it's just that. I'm not saying there's a difference between male and female. I'm saying there's something called testosterone, and that biologically is the hormone that separates a lot of things on Earth. It's not just in the in the human species. It's the whole animal kingdom. And I'm Tarzan, so I should know about the animal kingdom, right? That's kind of a joke, but
Tarzan, the explorer.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'd like to kind of just kind of end my little tear with you is that abundance is great, but men have to do. Men have to do. Women too, but
It does. What's abundance to you? I mean, if I ask you to define abundance in your version, and then I'll ask you to define Peter Diamandis' version, or like
sure.
Tony Robbins or people. I mean, how your part of the world look at it?
Sure. So in one of Peter's recent podcasts with Elon, he was ex Grok was like, Peter is monetizing hope. I thought that was really funny, but Peter is not monetizing hope only. He is a catalyst for abundance, right? Okay. So me, I'm the next generation. Okay, so I get it, but I'm doing it. That's the sum of it all. Okay. Um, we haven't figured out the way to turn the clock back on our genetics just yet. We have growth factors and things that are now available from a research standpoint to potentially commercialize, to turn those clocks back. Like Elon was saying, it's like eventually we're going to figure out that clock because your left arm and your right arm don't age separately. It's not how the body ages. So, we have to be prepared to take guys like me, they're next in line, and guys like me need to know our place. Like we need to take guys like, Peter and the rest of the abundance committee and group around the world. And, guys like me, we need to like sit down and like learn, how can I work with you? How can I be of service to you? How can I devote my life to this? Right. And if those questions aren't answered, then listen, just stop talking, listen. For me, I know where my part is because I've been figuring it out for so long. So I can say, here are my chips on the table. Let's go. Right. Here are the companies. Here's the revenue. Here are the assets. Here's the intellectual property. Here are all the fundamental ingredients that is required to even start a conversation of being a part of the quilt of this thing that we're all building. Because for a lot of people, that they don't know how to get in.
Yeah, absolutely. Tarzan, is that how the people on abundance community with Peter Diamandis, is that how they work? They put together all resources on one platform, like be it longevity, be it any exponential
Yeah,
technologies like
yeah,
AI or ASI or AGI.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, that's already in practice. I'm just saying for a lot of people that aren't aware of
And
what the abundance community
how
is, like you
close
don't.
you have been to this idea?
I'm sorry, but I couldn't hear what you just said.
And how close you are to this idea, or does your heart also resonate with the idea?
What are you asking? How close I am to building something that I'm already doing, or
Yeah, or the community of abundance of the
oh,
Peter
okay.
that is already
Yeah,
doing.
I'm not
You,
I'm not
what
in.
I
Yeah, I'm not.
listening you listening you for this short span of time, I could see another Peter Diamandis, I could see another Elon Musk, I could see another,
Yeah,
someone who can matter just because you are different. And the old people in the history, those who were different, they built the difference, they built the history. And I
yeah,
see you there. And I like to ask your projects. What projects you have already accomplished, and what are in your plate right now?
yeah. So what I was pointing at is that right now I have a way of coming to the abundance community, for example, and saying, hey, I have a way to take the blue collar, enhance it with AI, and by doing so, we can train the next generation of robotic labor to help us build our world. And that's compelling because right now the blue collar is something that is dwindling, and there's not a lot of guys like me that are doing anything about it. Okay, so what I mean by that is like there's not a lot of guys in construction and in AI, right, that are focused on solutions at the intersection thereof. So that's just one of the principal things I'm working on right now. I have a very successful group here in Austin within real estate, construction, and labor. And I see that in the next 10 years, there's going to be an opportunity for robotic labor to play a role in that. But you can't do it right now because it's not insurable labor. So I have a way to make it insurable. And that's like the missing link. How do you build a home with a robot? Where do you go online to find a plumber, right? Where are all the plumbers? Where are all the electricians? Do they have a LinkedIn? Do they have a GitHub? Like I'm solving all these problems. I'm basically solving the problem of the blue collar, the whole thing.
Are you building like some portal like LinkedIn
Yeah,
itself for the
yeah. It's a
blue
work.
collar, or it's kind of LinkedIn for blue collar? But again, at the
It's
same
not.
time,
It's think of Google Earth.
Google Earth.
Yeah, think of Google Earth, and there's something called Niantic Spatial. They're the ones behind the Pokemon Go game that exploded. So they've created a interactive world now. So the world's cloned. We've successfully cloned the geological structures of our world online. What's inside those structures? Where were the repairs done? What SKUs were done? Who works on those structures? Are they licensed? Are they unlicensed? Are they insurable? What were the problems before the asset was managed? What were the problems after it was leased? What were the permits? Like all these things are not centralized, and I'm fixing all that. So, and it's not just that. That's just the data model. I'm fixing the missing link between where we are today with blue collar and where we want to be with our machines working with us to build structures. You can't build a structure right now with a robot. We can have a robot print one, fundamentally
Mm.
just the shell. We call it Icon here in Austin.
But
Could be,
how about the recent developments in the robotics? Like, I mean, if you could see in China what's happening in China, the
that's a good
robot that
example. That's a good example of a community that's
trying
that's
to do
organized.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an example. again, being organized. Okay, it's a macro global thing. China is communism.
Mm-hmm.
They work different. They organize different.
Mm-hmm.
They do things that are probably not correct to our standards. Quality controls or something that a lot of people aren't aware of. Oh, they built it overnight. It fell over yesterday. Again, like it comes down to how well you organize and how well can you execute. How can you set the expectation and deliver? That is how you do it. You effectively set the right expectation and you deliver. And not a lot of people do that very well. So I'm not saying China does it. I'm just saying they create a lot of good propaganda, but
Mm-hmm.
underneath the hood, yeah, different story.
And
So
okay, Tarzan, when next are we seeing?
yeah, what's next for me right now is like I'm gonna hopefully have some financing all figured out and done with my Austin team, and that will we closed a huge contract last week that basically 4x'd our revenue, so that was amazing. Took us 3 years to get that contractual obligation all figured out. So me and my partners are at an inflection point right now of why sell some of our company to somebody else? Why not just keep it and maybe get like a venture fund or a group of people from the abundance community to come in and help us grow the thing? Because where there is human civilization, there is labor. You can't get around it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say. There's labor to make mankind, any civilization, move forward. So I'm fixing the labor problems. I'm fixing the labor problem because it's not just a human problem. It's actually an adoption problem because our civilization doesn't have the legal framework to adopt legal, insurable, robotic, autonomous, right? Self-recursive, all that. That's just not, we don't have it yet. And if you are aware of how slow things move in government, like good luck, right? Hire thousands of lobbyists and you'll get somewhere eventually. But that's, again, the point back to Elon. Great entrepreneurs change rules. That's it. And so he had to change some rules to sell his vehicles direct to consumer. So he's going to have to go right back into that scenario with how do we get these robots to be insurable? Just the same dance, same, monkey suit of people, and all right. Well, look, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Yes, I have some great things. If we want to, if there's a way for me to interact with you in the future, give you an update, I'll do that. But I'm just head down doing. I don't like talking that much about me because, for the most part, a lot of people aren't abundant thinkers. They're trying to steal your customers and come at you because they know about you. So I try to keep a lot of the things I have quiet until it's too big to compete with. And that's inherently a human problem. We are always in competition with one another. No matter how abundant you are, Darwin is real. I'll speak Hobie. Our animal kingdom is a vicious place. And so, we can't all, because you asked me my version of abundance. I didn't really answer it for you, and I'll end with it. My version of abundance is being a champion.
Being champion, wow.
Yeah,
And to me, abundance is like to unleashing the a limitless potential of health, wealth, and happiness. That's abundance.
absolutely. But you got to be a champion to get that done.
Yeah, sure, you champion.
It's up to
So
you.
you're already there. And anything at all, if you can I be of any use to you, be feel candid
Sure.
and frank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you'll hear about it. Like it's still a lot of the things I've worked on and working on. It's been a lot of like black box or black site type stuff. Like it's not, it's like the nitty gritty stuff. Now I can come up for air and start publicizing and doing PR releases and things. Cause yeah, I look at our labor economy and it's so inefficient. It's not just America, it's all over the world. So I'm going to need help with getting the word out about how we're making human labor more efficient globally in the markets all around the world at the same time. Because I'm not just going to launch here in America. I'm going to be launching everywhere simultaneously. Because like I'm not going to have one workflow. I'm going to have a workflow for everyone to use. So that way we can get paid faster. We can be liable for our craft and stay glued to our addresses that we've touched. There's no point in competing for jobs. There's no point in that. And if we can do that collectively, we can train AI to help us do better jobs. And that eventually leads into getting robots to build homes with us. So with that being said, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and your
Mine,
platform.
yeah,
And
pleasure
yeah,
is all mine, Tarzan. Thank you so much for sparing time out of your busy life and gracing my show on this abundance show. And
absolutely.
I'll keep following you. I'll keep asking you to please come time and again to the show
Yeah. We'll be
because
we'll be friends. We'll be
yes,
friends. That's
I
all we
got
gotta
your
we'll be friends. Yeah.
WhatsApp number, so I'll keep you updated, and I always be looking for any slot you have available to grace my show. You're always welcome. Thank you so much, Tarzan. It was sweet talking to you. You are an abundant personality, and you are unleashing the abundance of health, wealth, and happiness. And sure,
Absolutely.
this concept of champion, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, I mean, you made my day. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
it's we're playing this video game, and you got to be a champion at your video game. Everyone has a different way of looking at being abundant, but some people just having food on the table is abundant, right? Just having the necessities of their life, right? Because so many people don't have the things that we take for granted. So just having the ability to be a champion in your life is everyone's mission, because collectively that creates an outcome for us all to be a champion together. And if we're one champion, that's something. And we're just not there yet, but we can be. And that's the promise of AI, is to automate that, hopefully. Okay, buddy. But yeah,
Thank you,
great to have
Charles.
another friend. See you soon.
Amazing seeing you. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
See ya.